Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you the first Mommy Monday. This is a new series that I told you I wanted to start, and it's going to be all about things involving being a mom, anything with children. I have a son that I just had, so the thing I'm going to start out with I thought would be fun is just my pregnancy story in general. This won't include too much about the birth. I think I'm going to make that its own separate video, so this video isn't like 40 minutes long, but I will have a variation of stuff on this series, whether it be makeup for mommies, anything like that. So if you have any requests involving family or kids or parenting, anything, definitely leave it down below for me so I know what you're interested in. But anyway, I'm just going to hop into my situation before I start rambling, because we all know I'm really good at that. So it all started after Zach and I decided that we wanted to have kids. Our first son was definitely planned. I know it doesn't work that way for everybody, but it was how it worked out for us. So he was conceived in the month of July, and I actually found out very early on that we got pregnant right away. Again, I know this doesn't happen for everybody, so we are definitely very thankful and very blessed that it did, but it was the first try and he just happened to show up. So I took a test literally the day I was supposed to miss my period, and I found out I was pregnant. The line at first was very, very faint, but it was still there, and according to my sister, who is now a licensed nurse, she let me know that if it was faint, that definitely meant something. So we went ahead and set up my prenatal appointments and all of that jazzy stuff and started learning more about what the next steps were. I actually surprised my husband that we were expecting. I'm just a crazy lunatic. I love giving surprises, but I don't like getting them in return. So I actually went out and bought the crib myself. Now, some people may say that that's something you should do together, but when it comes to decorating and all that stuff, that is not his forte. He leaves it up to me anyway, so I knew he wouldn't be angry. So my sister and I literally left the exact same day I took the test, and mind you, this was 2 weeks after I suspected I may be pregnant, and I knew it was super early on, but I just wanted to surprise him in the way that I wanted to, so I completely gutted what was considered my makeup room and made it the baby's room. So I bought this really nice crib from Bye Bye Baby and put it together myself, and he had come home. I told him to look at something in my makeup room, and he was completely shocked. I had the pregnancy test on the crib, and bada bing, bada boom, that is how he found out. I just chose to do that. He loved it and didn't mind at all. So then moving on to our doctor's appointments. Now, looking back now, I had a pretty uneventful pregnancy in terms of symptoms. I honestly had nothing, so had we not have planned it, I would have never known that I was pregnant until I actually started gaining weight, which wasn't until maybe like 6 months pregnant. It took me a while to actually start gaining weight. My appetite never changed. I never got morning sickness. I had a little bit of headaches here and there, but nothing drastic. It was the strangest thing. And even though I know so many people have it so much worse with symptoms, it's almost like I craved something, because it's, in my mind, it was like if I had a symptom, I knew everything was okay, because that's what's normal, and I had nothing. So it was just very weird, but that did give me a clue as to me thinking it was a boy, because I always heard that girls tend to make you sick and, you know, break out a lot, but boys don't tend to do that. So yeah, it was pretty uneventful in terms of symptoms. I didn't really have any, I didn't even crave anything, like nothing. So if I was ever hungry, it was more of that I never knew what to eat, so I just sat there for hours, but my appetite never changed, nothing. Over the course of my pregnancy, I gained 27 pounds, which for the weight I started at, I was told that the ideal weight gain was between 25 and 35, so I was completely healthy and completely fine the entire way through. You know, I was practically all belly. Right after I had him, about 2 or 3 days after, I went right back down to my weight, and I think that's just because I didn't really eat all that much more, and anything I did eat, he pretty much sucked right up, so I was just all him. He was an 8.5 pound baby. Now, if you're pregnant, you go through the basics when it comes to testing, and the first one was trisomy 21, where it tests like the, I could be wrong, but like the 18, 20, 21, and 22 chromosomes. That maybe 13, so I don't know. It's like whatever that little, you prick your finger and the blood test is given. We passed those with flying colors, and we had like over a 10,000 chance of him having any issue for any of those. But we did know right away that we'd have to go get a fetal echocardiogram, which is like an ultrasound of the baby's heart, because my husband was born with a hole in his heart. So we knew that right away, that when we made that known, they want us to go get one. And that's when kind of the only challenges I had throughout the entire pregnancy came in. At the first echo, they saw something was wrong, but it was a combination of they couldn't get a good picture because he moved a ton. That is one thing I knew he was definitely a healthy baby, because he would constantly move, and every time I had to get an ultrasound done, it took them double the amount of time that they would take on somebody else, because he would constantly move and nothing calmed him down. They'd be like, what did you eat this morning, blah blah blah, like ask him all these questions, but nothing would calm him down. It was the funniest thing ever. So the first echo, they couldn't get a clear picture. They knew something was wrong, but didn't know exactly what it was. They were focusing on the aorta. That was the only thing they were having a hard time getting. So then we fast forward to another echo I had to get done, and we learned a little bit more, but not nearly as much as we wanted. We learned that something was off with his aorta. It just did not seem to branch off the heart like an average person's aorta. It did not seem like he had a hole in his heart, but there was just definitely some concern. So then fast forward to the last echo, where I actually went to AI Hospital, which is a phenomenal children's hospital here on the East Coast, and got my last echo, and that was done by a doctor who literally, after every single other ultrasound I got done, was able to get exactly what he needed within like 30 minutes. And that was ridiculous, because all our other echoes lasted about 3 hours. And we found out that the baby has what is called a right-sided aortic arch with a left aberrant subclavian artery, which is an entirely humongous mouthful, and seems very alarming. But the doctor was wonderful. He walked us through everything, even drew us pictures so we understood. So a little rough copy or of what he was saying was, generally the aorta comes out of your heart going to the left side, and our child was going out of the right. And there's all different types of what that can entail. Sometimes your heart can like mirror itself, and then you don't really have an issue. It's just everything is kind of flopped. Or it can be all jumbled. His was kind of the jumbled mess. The artery kind of crossed over his heart when it shouldn't have done that. So it was nothing we did. It was all developmental. And yeah, but going on with that, there were certain concerns the doctor said, or had. He said that there was a slight chance that, I think it was like 20 to 40% of cases where they see exactly what our son had, the children had what is known as a 22q11 deletion, which deals with the 22nd chromosome and a snippet kind of being off of that one. Or you can, as it's also known as DeGeorge's syndrome, which if you look it up is a very serious thing. There's all different variances of it, some more severe, some not as severe, but it's just something that at this point, when I found out I was about 34 weeks pregnant, way too late to want to even consider doing any kind of further testing, because our only option was like the amniocentesis, and I was not up for that as far along as we were. And we were just taking everything as it came. So we had high hopes. I mean, he seemed to be a very healthy baby. We had no major concerns. We were just happy to finally have an answer. So at that point, it was just a waiting game. We had to wait till he was born, figure out, you know, what's going on, test him, everything like that. So other than having like that stress, the entire pregnancy was kind of golden, and it was very nice. He always measured bigger than the average baby at that size. So we were expecting, the doctors were expecting he was going to be about 9 or 10 pounds. And my husband and I were both 10 pounds when we were born. So we were basically expecting that we were going to have a huge child. And I think the last ultrasound I had was probably at 34 or a little bit before 34, and he was at like 6 pounds. So he had a little bit ways to grow, but he came out 8.5 pounds and 22 inches long, which is super long and not something that we were even looking at in terms of how big he was. So that was pretty amazing. But when we got closer to the delivery, my due date was March 26th, and that day is the day I went into the hospital. He has to be a planner like me because that just doesn't really happen, but we were so late when my water broke, because that's what happened, my water broke, that he didn't come until the following day. So we went into the hospital about 6 or 7, and I wasn't dilating anywhere, wasn't really going anywhere, but obviously when your water breaks, you kind of have to get that jump started, because after that, the baby is only supposed to be in your stomach for, I think they said, like 24 hours, so I actually went on being induced, and I will get into that part in another video just to save you guys something, but overall, my pregnancy was pretty simple, I want to say. I'm definitely not expecting that with any future pregnancies, so I'm not getting my hopes up, but it was a very easy pregnancy. It made me love being pregnant. It makes me miss being pregnant, so he was very good and very active all the time, so I was definitely blessed on that count of things. So I made it to 40 weeks and 1 day, and that is when he was born. So if you're interested in the birthing story, definitely stay tuned. That will be next week's video on Mommy Monday, and then we'll be rolling out some funner things. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this first video in this series, and for what is to come, I'm so excited. So I hope you're all having a terrific day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye guys!